Hey guys, how you doing? Cesar Ruiz right here. Want to make a quick video on my way to the gym because something came up that was very, very interesting. That really got me thinking. Somebody in my team is showing the concept to a lot of people, and all of a sudden they said, "You know what? I don't know that I can do this anymore. A lot of people are telling me no, and I don't want to feel like a salesperson. I don't want to be a salesperson." So I wanted to address that really, really quick because I think it's a valid question and a valid concern for people today. So first of all, a lot of people say that network marketing is not sales because we're sharing, we're marketing to people. But the truth is that it is sales. It is sales, and it's okay. And I'm going to tell you something here. You should be proud of being in sales. I'm going to tell you why. 200 years ago, I'm going to turn this off. 200 years ago, there were no salespeople that worked for corporations like it's the case today. Okay, if anybody was in sales, they were business owners. They owned land, or they owned natural resources, or cattle, or manufactured something of some kind, and they exchanged goods and services for others. Okay, and nobody was employed to do anything because everybody lived in small communities. People who came over to the US, for example, they were moving away from the lack of freedom that a government was imposing on them. So when they got here, guess what? There was no infrastructure of any kind. There was no communication industry. There were no transportation, no food industry, no clothing industry, no nothing. They had to create something from nothing. So first thing I want you to think about is that people who create something from nothing are entrepreneurs. They are, in essence, salespeople. Okay? So that was 200 years ago. As things developed and got better, because back then, I mean, you actually learned what it meant to be a business owner in your own family. There were no schools, so your children were apprentices, and the parents, they schooled them in the way of the business that they had. Actually, kids learn hands-on before we outsource that to society for somebody else to do. They did it themselves. You know, homeschooling was all that it was back then. And kids actually learn to negotiate. They learn to persuade. They learn to lead. They learn to make win-win agreements with others. And they had to be win-win. They couldn't be win-lose because they lived in small communities. So the long-term relationship was affected if the transaction was not a win-win. Fast forward 200 years to today, we have infrastructure for everything. We have companies that provide everything. And now the model has changed to 95% of the population are employees and 5% of the population are entrepreneurs, risk takers, bold people, people that learn to persuade and to add value by selling goods and services. I want to ask you, first of all, what percentage do you want to be in? Do you want to be in the 95% where you just sell your time for a certain amount of money? Do you want somebody else to determine how much you're worth? Or do you want to be in the 5% that is in as an entrepreneur or in sales? By the way, sales is a profession that pays the best. There's a reason why. So if somebody sells something worth $100, okay, they say it costs you $60 to have that and to create it and to deliver it to a customer, and you sell it to them for $100 and you made $40, right, in profit. How much is the value perceived by the customer who accepted that transaction? Was it $100? No, it was more than $100, because it would have been $100, they would have kept $100. But actually you sold it for $100 and the perceived value was higher than $100. So what I'm saying here is it's going against what Hollywood is telling us. If you watch any movie in Hollywood, if you watch any TV show for the last 50 years, anybody who has money, anybody who's rich is evil, you know? The camera closes in on the big corporation in the office with the main owner or person in the offices running all the affairs, and you know that he is taken away from the poor. But the reality, if you do some research, you'll find out that it's the complete opposite. People that provide value, they get paid very well for the value that they provided. So what I'm saying here, I want you to start identifying with somebody who's an entrepreneur, with somebody who's in sales. And you want one of the main adversities that you're going to have, that you're going to hear a lot of no's. No, 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 no. Yes. Think about this. Apple sells to this number of people and they get this number of people. Android appeals to this number of people and they sell to this number of people. They don't get them all. Neither will you. So I just want to give you a word of advice. Number one, never feel bad for being an entrepreneur. Never feel bad for being in sales, because you are adding value and you are creating something from nothing. You are adding value to others. Become a 5%er. Don't stay a 95%er where it's safe and cozy and comfortable and you don't have to take any risks, because you will never get ahead that way. You will never get paid what you're worth. So I want to encourage you just to be aware that it is normal to find resistance, and it is normal to find opposition from a lot of 95%ers. But guess what? You're a leader. You're meant to be a leader and call people out of the mediocrity they're living. For many of them, they're waiting for you to help them. They're waiting for you to persuade them, to lead them, to help them overcome an objection in their mind. That is selling, that is persuading, that is leading, and it's a win-win proposition. As long as it's a win-win proposition, you should be proud of yourself. And you should remember that you're not alone. You're in the company of 5%ers. Go get them. Subscribe to my channel, Cesar Ruiz, World Ventures.